Well, it's quite early days in the project, so it's important for us to explain what we're going to do, what the concepts we're going to use in the project and the kind of research that we're going to do. We had some opportunities actually already to explain some of the early research that we've done as well, which has also been vital. But I think it's important that the whole group of different stakeholders can understand the work that's ongoing in the project at this stage. And I think we'll revisit it in other workshops later in the project. Well, this workshop was kind of, I don't know if it was good timing or bad timing, but there was a big announcement yesterday that this group of substances that are called PFAS are now going to be restricted in the European Union. So I've had lots of discussions around the restriction proposal. There's lots of companies here and they're very, very nervous. Their business is very dependent on PFAS and also PFAS are an integral part of the ZeroPM project. So some of the work we're doing is going to feed into this restriction proposal. So I've had a lot of discussions with representatives from companies around the restriction proposal. That's probably what I've spent the most time discussing, and I think that's just the timing of this. It just came exactly on when this workshop was planned. My main take-home message from the workshop is that there are actually a huge difference in views from the different stakeholders that are represented at this workshop, and there's a real lack of agreement on many of the issues regarding substituting chemicals and what the best approaches are and so on. And without better agreement, we're not going to make any change. So I would say this workshop was extremely valuable to have these discussions between different stakeholders with different opinions, and that we need to have more of these communications, otherwise we will not be able to have the kind of changes that we want to have in our management of chemicals going forward.
This workshop is important to our work package Market Transition because the other work packages are very much related to our work package. So if we are to have a market transition, we need safer alternatives, so we need the alternatives assessment. And we also need strong policies so that there is an incentive to drive the market towards safer chemicals. And I think for the majority of the people we work with in our work package, which are companies and downstream users of chemicals, this is quite a new arena to them. They are not so often going to scientific conferences and meeting the more scientific crowd that we have today. And I think it's really important from both the academic side and from the more company corporate side that there are more arenas like this when these two meet, because they really have a lot to learn from each other, I think. I think again it's obvious that the different types of people here don't meet all the time, so they can be a little bit surprised about each other's perspective. And I think that is really appreciated, and there are lively discussions in the coffee room. So I think that is really shared. So for example, yesterday we had an investor speaking. That's a perspective that is quite rarely discussed, both within the chemical policy field, but also maybe in the scientific field. So what role can financial investors play in a market transition is a completely new angle. So I think that has been very much appreciated, that you get these different views on the same topic and how different actors can work for the same target in the end. But to just understand that and see that broader picture. So I think my main take-home message from this workshop is that a first impression is a little bit overwhelming. The kind of problem we are facing, we just had the PFAS restriction published yesterday, and people are a little bit like, how can we go about and how can we solve this together? But I think that once these discussions have started and settled, we also see a lot of opportunities, we see a lot of new collaborations, and we see that there are possibilities. So I think my main takeaway message from this conference is that even if we have a complex problem, we also have an incredible diverse setting of stakeholders that are dedicated to doing this transition. And if we just continue the discussion and the collaboration, it's not so scary to actually take this step and to move ahead, because we really need to do that.
ZeroPM, Zero pollution of persistent and mobile substances. This project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under grant agreement number 101036756.